There is a language your body speaks, one that uses no words, only sensations. It is the language of pain. An inexplicable weight on your shoulders, a sudden twinge in your back, a chronic fatigue that no night of sleep seems to cure. We have been taught to see these sensations as a mistake, a flaw in the machine, an enemy to be silenced with medicine. We fight against our body. We feel betrayed by it, without realizing that it is, in fact, desperately trying to save us from a much greater danger, the danger of an unlived life, of an unspoken truth. What if this pain you feel is not a punishment, but a message? What if your body, in its infinite wisdom and loyalty, is your soul's last resort to get your attention? Cell biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton shows us that each of our cells is an antenna, responding at every moment to the energetic and emotional signals we emit, often without realizing it. He reveals that the body is a biological mirror of our unconscious mind. When you ignore, repress, or deny an emotion for too long, the body has no choice but to start speaking for it, translating silent suffering into a physical symptom. Dr. Joe Dispenza complements this view, reminding us that the chemistry running through our veins is a direct reflection of our repeated thoughts and feelings. Chronic worry becomes chronic inflammation. Unprocessed sadness becomes a real weight. Pain, he teaches, is the final message of the system, a deafening alarm that sounds before the collapse becomes irreversible. Illness, therefore, does not begin in the body. It begins in the vibrational field that sustains it, in the incoherence we create when we separate from our inner truth. This journey we are beginning now is not about finding another way to eliminate pain. It is about something much braver. It is about learning to listen. It is about understanding that pain is a desperate attempt by your own consciousness to restore coherence where there has been separation, to heal the fracture between the emotion you repressed and the authentic expression your soul longs to live. It is about, finally, understanding what your body, in its unconditional love for you, is trying to heal. To decipher this language, the first step is to change our fundamental perception. We need to understand that all pain is a message, not a system failure. Your body is not a faulty mechanism. It is the most loyal and honest biological translator of the invisible, the screen where the subtle energies of your consciousness finally become visible. When a headache appears or an inflammation sets in, it is not your body that is against you. It is your body trying to hand you an urgent note that you refuse to read in every other way. To ignore the symptom, trying only to silence it, is like ripping the fire alarm off the wall because the noise is annoying, while the fire continues to spread silently through the house. And this is where the invisible error that sabotages most healing attempts lies. Traditional medicine, with all its value, is trained to treat the symptom, to silence the alarm. Consciousness, on the other hand, invites us to treat the vibrational emitter, to look at the source of the fire. Bruce Lipton explains this process brilliantly. Your DNA, the blueprint of your health, is not a fixed destiny. It responds, every second, to the chemical environment that surrounds it, an environment created directly by your thoughts and emotions. Attempting a physical cure without a deep emotional reprogramming is like repeatedly fixing a crack in the wall without ever repairing the unstable foundation that is causing it. It is preparing the ground for an energetic relapse. If, upon hearing this truth, the face of someone you love came to mind, remember that it is possible to send this clarity to that person. The universe always finds a way. If we trace any physical pain back to its origin, we will find a pattern. Before any symptom manifested in the body, there was a trigger, an emotion that was not felt, expressed, and released. It was a swallowed anger, an uncried sadness, an unwelcomed fear. Studies by Dr. Joe Dispenza show through concrete measurements that the electromagnetic field emitted by the heart changes instantly and dramatically with our emotional state. A repressed emotion does not disappear. It becomes a dissonant frequency, an energetic signature of incoherence that, maintained for long enough, begins to distort the field that organizes matter. Chronic pain is, in its essence, an emotion that has become chronically repressed. It is the same message, playing at the same volume, for years on end. And what is the mechanism that allows us to sustain this repression for so long? It is the hidden role of denial. "I'm fine" is perhaps the most dangerous phrase in our vocabulary, especially when said while our body is in a state of vibrational collapse. The rational mind, in its attempt to maintain a fragile illusion of control, denies what the body feels as absolute truth. It creates stories, justifications, and distractions to avoid dealing with the vulnerability of the real emotion. Denial works like a powerful spiritual anesthetic. It does indeed silence the soul's pain for a time, but the price we pay is the slow death of our own consciousness, of our connection to the life that pulses within us. And when consciousness is silenced, the body is forced to scream. And when the body screams, it does so with an impressive symbolic precision. The pain is rarely random. Where it manifests in your body, there lies a clue about the nature of the belief that is trapped in your energetic field. Think of your shoulders, constantly tense and sore. They are not just muscles. They are the place where we carry the weight of the world, the burden of responsibilities we have taken on that are not ours, the weight of caring for everyone but ourselves. Think of your throat, which closes up, becomes inflamed, or loses its voice. It is the portal of your expression, and its pain whispers of all the words that were not said, the truths that were swallowed, the creativity that was suffocated, and your stomach, which burns and churns. It reflects your difficulty in digesting a situation, in processing a reality that you cannot accept. Biology is profoundly symbolic. Your body does not get sick arbitrarily. It communicates through living metaphors, exactly where your energy has stopped flowing. If you feel the call to start deciphering these messages, there is immense power in declaring this intention. When you feel ready, write in the comments the word, "I listen," not for us, but as a seal of your commitment to hearing the wisdom of your own body. It is necessary to be careful, however, of a subtle and powerful trap that can arise on this journey: the unconscious addiction to silent suffering. For many people who have lived for years with their emotional needs ignored, physical pain becomes, paradoxically, a safe place. The sick body becomes the only field where the soul is finally seen, where suffering becomes legitimate, and where one can receive care and attention. The person, without realizing it, begins to identify with their pain. I am someone with chronic migraines. I am a person with fibromyalgia. The pain ceases to be a condition and becomes an identity. And here lies a fatal error on the path to healing, trying to cure the physical symptom without being willing to let go of the identity that the pain helped create. The liberating question is not just how do I heal from this pain, but who will I be without it? To understand how this identity solidifies in our biology, we need to look at the exact process of how thought turns into chemistry. Bruce Lipton shows us that every thought we have triggers a cascade of biochemical reactions. Thoughts of stress, fear, or worry, even if subtle and habitual, release hormones like cortisol and adrenaline into the bloodstream. These chemicals are designed for emergency situations, for fight or flight, and one of their functions is to shut down everything that is not essential for immediate survival, including the immune system and the mechanisms of cell regeneration and growth. Living in chronic stress is like keeping the body in a constant state of emergency, blocking its natural ability to heal itself. On the other hand, Elevated and coherent emotions, such as gratitude, love, or acceptance, release a completely different pharmacy: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. These chemicals not only make us feel good, they open the field of healing, strengthen the immune system, and activate the genes for repair and vitality. Every thought of yours, therefore, is not a harmless occurrence. It is a precise biochemical command that you send to your 50 trillion cells, instructing them to thrive in an environment of healing or to shut down in an environment of survival. Understanding that our thoughts are biochemical commands, the question becomes, how do we start a dialogue instead of just giving orders? How do we learn to listen to what the body is already saying? There is a way to do this, a vibrational listening technique that requires nothing but your own presence. The first step is to stop the war. Instead of tensing up against the pain, bring your awareness, like a soft beam of light, to the exact point in your body where the sensation manifests. And then, breathe into it. Breathe as if your lungs were located there, sending oxygen and acceptance to that very tissue. Then, with the intention of a genuine listener, ask the silent question: what is this part of me trying to show me? What message do you hold for me? And then, most importantly, wait in silence. The answer rarely comes in logical words. It will come as a sudden sensation, a forgotten image, a memory that emerges from the mists of time. This simple but profound practice activates the sacred bridge between your conscious self and the vast intelligence of your biological unconscious. This is such a vital reconnection tool that you might want to save this video to your personal library so you can return to this practice whenever your body calls. To understand why this listening works, we can imagine our body not as a machine of flesh and bone, but as an electric temple, an electromagnetic field in constant motion. Each of your cells is an antenna, transmitting and receiving information from the field that surrounds it at every moment. When you live in alignment with your soul, when your emotions are expressed and flow freely, the field remains coherent, communication is clear, and the energy of life flows, regenerating and sustaining the temple. But when the field enters incoherence, due to repressed emotions and limiting beliefs, the spiritual communication becomes distorted. The signal is lost in the static, and the body is forced to scream to be heard. The scream of pain, then, has a single and noble function: to restore presence. It is a call back home, an alarm for you to return your consciousness to a place within yourself that was abandoned, neglected, forgotten. Every twinge of physical pain is, in its essence, a desperate plea for awareness. It is saying, look here, feel here. There is a truth here that you need to see to be free. The moment you stop fighting and finally welcome the pain, listening to its message with compassion, it fulfills its sacred role. And, like a messenger who has finally delivered his letter, it can dissolve into wisdom and peace. If this change of perspective, of seeing pain not as an enemy but as a teacher, resonates in your soul, your like is a silent way of honoring this new understanding. This transformation is not just a beautiful theory, it manifests in physical realities. Think of the symbolic story of a man who lived for years with chronic lower back pain, which prevented him from standing up straight. He tried everything, but the pain persisted. In a moment of deep introspection, he finally realized that it was not just his body that was bent. He was living emotionally hunched over, bent before the expectations of others, the fear of displeasing, the weight of a life that was not his. The day he made the conscious decision to straighten up internally, to honor his own truth, something miraculous began to happen. The energy that was once trapped in his spine began to flow, and the body, obeying the new posture of the soul, literally began to straighten up as well, releasing the pain that was no longer necessary. For the body obeys the mind, but it always and ultimately responds to the soul. This man's story shows us the power of a soul that decides to realign, but it also points us to the most subtle and powerful obstacle that sabotages our own self-healing: resistance. Even when the mind understands the message, a part of us may refuse to feel. There is a silent factor, a vibration of fear that prevents us from taking the final step. Fear of what we will find if we really listen. Fear of the emotional pain that has been denied for so long. This resistance is not just a psychological barrier. It generates an energetic signature that keeps the body locked in survival mode, preventing the processes of cell regeneration from even beginning. Healing, therefore, requires a radical form of courage, vulnerability. It requires our permission to finally feel what, for years, we swore to ourselves we would never feel again. It is in this act of permission that consciousness begins to create the true field of healing. Dr. Joe Dispenza proves, with thousands of brain and heart measurements, that when we generate elevated emotions such as gratitude, love, or compassion, we create a state of high coherence between the heart and the brain. The heart, which is our largest electromagnetic field, begins to emit an ordered and rhythmic signal. The brain, in turn, synchronizes with this signal. When the heart and brain enter this harmony, the entire biology responds. The chemistry of stress decreases, the immune system is strengthened, and the vibrational frequency of each cell begins to reorganize. Healing, seen in this light, is much more than the repair of tissues. It is a reorganization of energy, from chaos to order, from incoherence to coherence, orchestrated by your own consciousness. This type of understanding, which unites science and soul, is the heart of our journey together. If you feel the call to continue deepening this connection, this is a good time to subscribe and not miss our next step. And for this reorganization to happen, for the symphony of healing to be heard, we need one last ingredient, the most invisible and potent medicine of all: silence. Amidst the constant noise of the external world and the chattering mind, the body cannot find its natural rhythm. The subtle sound of pain, its delicate message, can only be deciphered when the mind falls silent. It is necessary to create spaces of quiet, moments in which the absence of external noise finally allows us to hear the vibration of our internal field. It is in silence that the truth emerges. It is in silence that the body finally has a chance to heal. We arrive then at the most liberating conclusion of all. Your body does not lie. More than that, it loves you unconditionally and absolutely. Bruce Lipton teaches us that the body is the loyal servant of the mind, but the mind must learn to serve the soul. And as Greg Braden reminds us, the heart is the great mediator between these worlds, the biological and the spiritual. Pain, in its essence, is just a love note sent by your soul, saying, "You have strayed from yourself. Come back home." The moment you finally hear the message, the pain fulfills its sacred purpose and no longer needs to exist. Do not fight your body. It is the sacred diary of your consciousness, the compass that always points to your truth. To heal yourself is not to erase symptoms. It is an act of remembrance. It is remembering who you were, in your fullness, before you became emotionally ill. May your journey be blessed. Come back when you feel the call and tell us how it has flourished.